Hi, welcome to the accompanying video with a look at favourites performances on undulating courses. It's going to be one of a number of articles looking at the different course types in the UK and Ireland. Undulating courses, here are the English or the UK ones. Brighton, Carlisle, Catterick, Cheltenham, Chepstow, Epsom, Exeter, Fakenham, Folkestone, Goodwood, Hamilton, Hereford, Hexham, Kelso, Leicester, Market Raisin, Plumpton, Pontefract and Sedgefield. And in Ireland, Clonmel, the Curragh, Down Royal, Downpatrick, Galway, Gowran Park, Kilbeggan, Naas, Navan, Punchestown, Thurles, Tramore and Wexford. We're looking at the last 10 years of data, predominantly to a Betfair starting price as well. And for the layers, we've got two staking plans, as you see in each month's videos. Laying profit to a backer stake. There's no such thing as level stakes for the layers because you've got the liability issue. You've got fixed liability, which is level liability, so to speak, of whatever you want to put it. In this article, I put it at £10 fixed liability. Weight rank 12. If the top weight is 12, if the top weight is first ranked, then weight rank 12 will give you an idea where that horse is. Becoming a lowly weight, when it's a favourite on these undulating courses, it seems to profit very well indeed. This is the profit graph. As you can see, I like diagonal look about it. Only a 28% strike rate, but 4.93 average odds throughout the tenure. £100 into 1,001 to £10 level stakes is pretty impressive. I quite like that. No need to look at any of these more exotic staking plans. This will suffice. But what about 12th ranked? Where do we find them? Well, I've done a little bit of investigating, and this is the conclusion I've come to. These are the actual results. So we've looked at Purring Along, 6.55 at Naas, a very recent qualifier, finished third at 7-2. And having a look at the rankings, I'll get my little piece of paper out. It seems to be that the 12th ranked is 12th in the weights, not, for example, we've got two lots of 9 stone 13. You think that would be top weight. That would be first, but it's not. You count 1 and then you count 2. So you need to go to the Racing Post itself and look at their cards as I'm holding a piece of paper with my chin. So let's go and I'll show you what I mean. Race cards here. I'll put the paper down. Today, just choose your venue and we'll just choose a race just like this one. You have to put it into weight order. So you can do that quite easily by clicking WGT. So logic would assume that this would be weight rank 1, wouldn't it? But it's not. Maybe it's factoring in any jockey's claim. So I would walk my way down the coupon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that would be weight rank 12 for me. It's not a favourite, so you move on to the next race. As you can see, if you can find these, they have a very good backer's profit. So well worthy of your attention, as you can see here. Next in the category is 4-year-olds. Laying 4-year-old favourites at undulating courses has ignited since the 3rd of November 2019. So it's arguable, get them while they're hot, get onto that trend. Laying to a fixed liability of £10 has made £786, which is excellent. You're controlling your risk and you're still profiting, which is brilliant. Longest winning sequence of 22, longest losing sequence of 7. That's what you want to see as a layer, isn't it? 69% strike rate over time. It's likely higher since November 2019. So let's have a look at these 4-year-olds. As you can see, it's a bit of an undulating graph, but what we're interested in is this run up here. So we're going about 3877. And we're talking about fixed liability, weren't we? So let's move to that one. That's a lot more impressive, isn't it? So we'll start from the base here. This is what I'm talking about, catch them while they're hot, because over the 10-year period, it's been up, it's been down, been up, down, and up again. Catch this trend here and hope that that continues. So 3640. So since about November 2019, it's really got going, hasn't it? You add that 99 onto this, and that's your profit to a £10 fixed liability, which is very encouraging indeed. Longest winning sequence of 22. So well worthy of your attention, this, I think. But long term, it's a bit of an up and downer. I don't know the reason for this huge drop, but catch them while they're hot. That would be my argument for 4-year-olds on undulating courses when they're favourite. Start laying them to a fixed liability, which I'll get to at the end of the video. Favourites on undulating courses having only the one run in the last year seem to be problematic. £100 into 680 to a fixed liability of £10 is a good profit. Again, I like fixed liability because you're guaranteed that you know your risk. When you're laying and you're laying at different prices, your liability will fluctuate, i.e. the amount you're risking. But when you're laying to a fixed liability, you know what you're going to lose beforehand, and it's very encouraging. And if you can make a profit out of that, so much the better. 2024, though, has seen 6 winners since the 21st of July, which has stopped the profit temporarily, I hope. But the long-term prognosis is good. Let's have a look at one run in the last year. Laying to level stakes is a bit jumpy, isn't it? You're down, you're up, you're down, you're up, you're down, you're up, down, up, down, up. But the general trend is upwards over time. But it's a lot better to a fixed liability of £10, isn't it? Or whatever amount you see. Yes, we've got a bit of a drawdown recently. And that, as I said in the article, is down to a sudden splurge of winning favourites, particularly in July 2024. But the long-term prognosis is good. And whenever you're laying to a £10 fixed liability, you know how much you're going to lose beforehand. And the £10 is only illustrative, of course. Use whatever stake you're comfortable with. Longest winning sequence of 15, excellent, 60% strike rate. When you see a long winning sequence, you just have a look at these loss retrieval staking plans as well. And this, wow. This is loss retrieval, lay 1 to 4 staking plan. It's an excellent staking plan. I like to use it, particularly when you've got a long winning sequence as a layer, because you're looking to win back losses eventually. What happens with the lay 1 to 4 staking plan? You start with a £10 backers stake. So you're looking to win £10 minus commission. If you have a loser, i.e. the horse wins, you put that liability to one side. You're not going to be winning all of that back straight away. What you're going to be doing, you increase your backer stake. You have another winner, increase your backer stake until you hit a high of 40. And then it really goes to work. As you can see, we've got some liability to win back here. But if you trust the system, you can see that can be a little squeamish, 410 liability. But it's not lost unless you give up. It gets even worse here. But you trust it. Longest winning sequence of 15, we'll soon have that put to bed. And over time, you can see the job is to get it back to 0, and then you revert back to your £10. So have a think. If you like the lay 1 to 4 staking plan, it can produce an excellent return over time for the layer. Really impressive stuff. And I like that profit graph. You tend to want to see to a fixed liability a kind of a line that it hits, because that's telling you it's won back previous losses and has returned you to the base. So excellent stuff. Something for you to note as layers. When you get a longest winning sequence and it's in double figures, consider mild loss retrieval. 3-runner races. Well, the key to profiting from 3-runner races is to focus on odds on favourites, i.e. decimal odds of 2.00 or lower. It's a solid enough profit to £10 backer stake, and it'll be illustrated better if I get the graph up for you. Well, there's nothing I love more than my neighbour turning up with his power tools, as you can hear in the background. So let me just sort that out before I strangle him. Right, this is 3-runner races. So you'll be laying the favourite in the 3-runner races, but better when they're odds on. It's got that price graph that I like. Diagonal, bottom left to top right. Very nice, isn't it? Particularly since, let's have a look. Since 2016, it's been profiting nicely. Laying favourites. Now, you might want to look at liability as well, because if you lay favourites to a fixed liability and they're odds on, the shorter the price you can get losing its race, the more money you'll make. So you can see the shift from 350 to a fixed liability up to 506. And the simple reason for that, as I've just alluded to, you're going to make a better return. Let's see if we've got a really good lay in here. Well, this is a 1.4 lay. If you're laying to a £10 fixed liability, that's £23 profit. Have we got a real doozy here? I don't know. We've got a very short price. How about this 1.21 favourite losing to a £10 fixed liability, winning 45 quid? That's what makes fixed liability so appealing when you're laying odds on favourites. So that's another tip for you. Look at this one here. 1.12 favourite losing to a £10 fixed liability. You won 79 quid there. Wow. Not too shabby. It's a bit of a slow burner to start with. As you can see, we're in a losing position until 2017, and then we've just shot off and off we go. And the graph continues its upward trajectory, which I hope you'll see. Easy to find, of course, 3-runner races. So there's a simple go to race cards at racingpost.com and you'll see it there. Okay. So look, do also look for any 4-runner races which have been reduced to 3. Now the software hasn't told me whether this is strictly 3-runner races or it's races reduced to 3. I'm assuming the latter, that it will be all 3-runner races at the off. You simply lay the favourite. Now I forgot to take you through where to look for those previous 2. 1 run in the last year. Well, that's, you're going to go to the Racing Post again. 1 run in the last year. So pick your race. So we'll just do this one. You're looking at focusing on your favourite only, of course. On an undulating course, don't forget, Dundalk is not part of that, is it? But I'm just using this for illustrative purposes. Bernard Shaw, probably an Aidan O'Brien horse with that name, indeed. Click on the horse's name. 1 run in the last year. Nice and simple. And this is where you'll find all of your LTO, last time out details. 1 run in the last year. Yes. So this horse would qualify, wouldn't it? Only had the 1 run. But still, only the 1 run in the last year would be a qualifier. 4-year-olds. Age, bang. You've got the number 4 there for the favourite. Off you go. So my apologies there for just missing those 2. Hope I didn't miss the... Yeah, we've got the weight rank 12, haven't we? We've looked at that one. 3-runner races. Looking very good to a fixed liability. 4-year-old plus 95 races. Where do we find those details? Those details are found in the race title itself. So let's see if we can find one of those. What you'd be looking for, of course, you're taking this through your initial filter for undulating courses. So why don't we do that? So we've got our list up here. Carlisle, Catterick, Cheltenham, Chepstow. I think we've got Chepstow, haven't we? Yes, we do. So that's an undulating course. So why don't we just use that one? Go to all races if you want, or a specific race. We're going to show all race cards for the meeting on one page. So we're going to go back and we're looking at 4-year-old 90 plus 95 races. You'll find these details in the title of the race. 4-year-old plus 95 you'll be looking at. Okay? You'll see that in brackets. 4-year-old plus 95. So we don't have a qualifier today, do we? Yet. 4-year-old plus 0 to 65. If that was 95, of course, we would start having our qualifier, wouldn't we? So that's the easy way to find those details out. 4-year-old plus 95. You'll see that in the race title. Right for the layer again. It's another rock solid upward projecting profit graph, which I love to see. And look at this profit, £100 into 14.28 to a backer stake for the layer. Don't get confused. Backer stake for the layer just means it's the amount of money you want to win as a layer. Let's have a look at in greater detail 4-year-old plus 95 races. Well, as you can see, it's a no-go zone for the backer. You're falling off a cliff. But for the layer, look at that profit graph. Very encouraging, isn't it? It does suggest there's a long-term trend here. Yes, there's been a bit of a dip, but we look to be going back on the trajectory now. So that's the kind of graph I like. It's the kind of profit I like to back a stake, which is effectively looking to win a tenner. Okay, don't get confused when I say back a stake for the layer. Always have a look at fixed liability. You never know, and it's nowhere near as compelling as level stakes. So when you've got a 4-year-old plus 95 race, lay the favourite on these undulating courses and you will profit even to the backer stakes. 79% strike rate over time. Very encouraging indeed. 6 furlongs last time out. Don't forget the LTO there. Laying favourites on undulating courses that ran 6 furlongs last time out. £100 into 860 to £10 backer stake. It is a choppy graph. What do I mean by that? Let's have a look at the profit graph here. A little choppy, isn't it? So what's your preference if you're going to be following these? My preference, of course, for your nice, smooth, bottom left to top right graph, isn't it? This one's a little choppy, but it does suggest we're eventually going to make the profit, but there's only pretty much a break even from bet 2931 to 3375. So up to you. It's a good enough profit. 69% strike rate. Longest winning sequence of 16 again. Opens the door up to lay 1 to 4. And look at that. Ah, 100 into £4,456 to a £10 backer stake. Wow. Don't forget, this can get squeamishly big, the liabilities, particularly when you're looking to win 40 back. But again, this is just illustrative. You can decrease 5, 10, 15, 20, or even lower, 2.5, 5, 7.5, and 10, and then let compounding work for you. So that is the lay 1 to 4 staking plan, 4,454. So whenever you, as a layer, see this longest winning sequence, do check out the lower risk loss retrieval staking plans. We're not talking martingale here. That's for nut cases. Doncaster last time out, and again I'll show you Doncaster and 6 furlongs last time out, where to find the details. No rhyme or reason why a horse who's previously run at Donny seems to falter on an undulating course in the next race. I don't know why, but let's follow it. £100 into £947 to £10 backers stake. Wow. For the layer, pretty good. £10 fixed liability. Again, I prefer fixed liability myself, particularly if it's producing a reasonable profit. Let's have a look at the details. So as you can see there, it's another one of those very nice price graphs for the layer. Longest winning sequence of 18. You already know now, don't you? Let's check out the mild loss retrieval staking plans. But there we go. How about that? This is what I'm talking about with loss retrieval. You want to get it back onto that kind of a straight line, which suggests that you're consistently winning back your losses over time. That's what these long winning sequences suggest. So do look into that lay 1 to 4 staking plan if you want to take a little bit more risk with a chance of a huge reward relative to fixed liability, which is the lowest risk element. Again, you're risking just a tenner and you've still got a nice bottom left to top right profit graph here. Doncaster last time out. Any last time outs, you're using the Racing Post race card and you're clicking on the horse's name. I'm just trying to get this up as a favourite. Now, if you want to access other race cards at racingpost.com, click on the title of the race itself, and that'll take you to some other race cards where you can actually do your sorting out by weight and sorting out by odds. So we're looking at an odds on. We're looking at the favourite. This is where you find your last time out details. So at last time out race distance, you'll see there. Last time out is quite simply the last race run. Last time out course, if that was Doncaster, you'd be getting interested, wouldn't you? Don't forget, got to be at an undulating course like Chepstow. On to Downpatrick, which is a layer's dream in Ireland. £100 into 8.38 to £10 backer stake for this undulating course and its favourites. Fixed liability option there as well. Let's have a look at Downpatrick. So if you get to this Irish venue with the favourites, you'd be looking to lay, wouldn't you? Seems to be this, the undulations don't fit the favourites well. Fixed liability is always an option. That's nice smooth graph as well. And again, your risk. You always know your risk with this element. And given the fact we've got 19 runner longest winning sequence, do check lay 1 to 4 out. And that, again, seems to return to that line. You can put a line up here, can't you? And it seems to return to that point, which means this loss retrieval is working. But the series deficit put to one side, and it was a bit squeamishly large here. So practically, I would be panicking when you've got a loss of 8.85, cumulative loss. But if you keep the faith, it's going to go eventually to zero and reset. So if you're going to be doing lay 1 to 4 staking plan, you're going to have to do it for the duration. You're going to have faith in it, because if you bail at an £800 loss and then you get in your DeLorean and look into the future, all of that would have been returned eventually. So you're either with it or you're not. Well, don't ask me to explain why, but it seems backing favourites on undulating courses when they were drawn in stall 14 last time out can eke out a profit for you. 32% strike rate, average odds of 4.18, longest winning sequence of 8, longest losing sequence of 11. Is it a profit you fancy? Well, let's show you where to find the details. Racingpost.com, as ever. You're only interested in the favourite on an undulating course, of course. Drawn in stall 14 last time out. Well, let's have a look. You'll have to get into the race itself. So you're looking at the favourite. Today's favourite, by the way. What was the name of the horse? I'll have to... Vape. Okay, that was the name of the horse. So let's go back. We're going to look at Vape. Drawn in stall 6. As you can see there. The draw is in brackets. So if that was drawn in stall 14, Vape would be a qualifier today. And you'll be backing him at 11 to 4. Okay? Epsom. I'm not too keen on the profit graph. It's a bit undulating, like the course. But you get there eventually for the layer. But it's a good profit over time. Fixed liability again, reasonable enough at Epsom. 100 into 367 to a £10 fixed liability. Of course, fixed liability profits tend to be lower unless it's odds on favourites. Are you taken by it? 2023, 2024 has been profitable. Don't forget, 19 runner Lewis longest sequence. Not practical, is it, long term? That's why we need to look at the whole graph rather than looking at the profit and saying, off you go, because this is impractical. Psychologically, you wouldn't be able to handle that. But the staking plan would have got you through. As you can see, this is getting up to 800 to £10 fixed liability, and then it's going up to 1300. It's not realistic that you would have followed this through, is it? So if you're interested in Epsom, over time, not the greatest profit graph in the world, but we've had a bit of a profitable run recently, and it's going up over time. Not the most spectacular profit you'll see in the article this month. Another world famous venue, Goodwood, and it's the backers profiting on this occasion, although we've had a little bit of a dip recently. £100 into 1,265 to backers stake. Sorry, to level stakes of tenner. That's pretty good going, isn't it? So lots of placed horses as well. So if you, I don't know if we can work an each way profit out here. I'm not sure how this works. I don't know what these do, so I'll just leave it at that. But just to point out to you, the amount of favourites placed recently as well is very encouraging. This is an excellent profit for the layer as well. Slight dip in recent months, but the long-term prognosis very good indeed at Epsom. Longest losing sequence of 16, though. You must bear that in mind when considering your betting bank size. It's not the smooth graph that I seek, but it's there if you want it, because we very rarely get backers profits, don't we, on these undulating courses? Well, the favourites suffer on undulating courses in Grade 2 races. You can see here, particularly this recent run up here. It's what I call getting while they're hot. You want to follow the recent trend, and you'll be laying favourites on undulating courses in Grade 2 races to a backer stake of a tenner or a fixed liability. Not as great a profit though, so probably stick to the level stakes and always have a look at the loss retrieval, which again, impractical, isn't it? You're looking for a nice graph like this, where you've got the odd drop, but it returns to level, odd drop, but this is a big drop. So I wouldn't be pursuing that angle. I would be just looking at level stakes. Great Grade 2 races, potential to lay the favourite in these high quality races on undulating courses. A couple of winners recently, but the general trend has been pretty good. The grade of the race is easily identified in the race title. You'll see Grade 2, where this says Class 6. I'm trying to incorporate more last time out angles, and here's one, particularly to a fixed liability. It's not the greatest graph in the world, and to a lay 1 to 4 staking plan, it is profiting, but it's a bit of a sideways graph. Up to you if you want to look at this. A greater than 10 to 20 lengths to the winner last time out. These horses on undulating courses, when favourite, are to be laid. It's a good laying profit, but it's not the smoothest graph in the world, and there looks to be a bit of a sideways run at the moment. But I'll show you where to find the details. Again, you're going to be looking at the favourite last time out, looking at their distance, which will be shown here. Beaten 6 lengths. Okay, so you're looking between 10 to 20 lengths beaten, and then that would qualify for a lay. Handicap limit of 95. You know where to look for the handicap limits now, don't you? They're in the race title. This would say 95 in brackets. Handicap limit of 95. Now that's encouraging, isn't it? Laying a favourite on an undulating course in a handicap race limited to 95. Again, bottom left, top right. Just what I like to see. Bit of a dip there, but we're going back to parity, suggesting a good long-term profit for this is to the backer's stake. And don't forget to check liability. Well, a bit low. Longest winning sequence of 27 suggests that loss retrieval could be a good route, as you can see here. A slight dip there, but we're back on parity here. So there might be one for you to look at long term. Lay 1 to 4 stake plan, particularly when your longest winning sequence is 27, which is quite something. 77% strike rate, average odds of 4.49 for the layer. Laying favourites on undulating courses when ridden by Brian Hughes last time out, and I'm not sure if he'll be the jockey this time out again, has produced a good profit for the layer. This is to the backer's stake. Slight sideways move, but as you can see, it's a bottom left to top right. That's why I'm passing it on to you. Fixed liability, not really working. But the lay 1 to 4 staking plan could be something for you to follow up if you're going to be committed to this long term. Laying any favourites when ridden by Brian Hughes last time out. You know where to find last time out information now, don't you? You click on the horse's name. And it's got the jockey here. If that was Brian Hughes, you'd be up and at him. We're looking at Limerick last time out and Nace last time out next. It's a rare victory for the backer at Limerick. Sorry, not at Limerick. On an undulating course when the favourite last ran at Limerick. Again, please don't ask me to explain why it's profitable. It just is. Don't mess with the stats. It's very rare we'll get a backer's profit, isn't it? But look at this. This is very nice indeed. So this, to remind you, you're going to be backing favourites when they last ran at Limerick. It doesn't mean they're running at Limerick again in their next race. They're running on an undulating course in their next race, but they last ran at Limerick. 3 winners in the last 4. Pretty good odds, 9.4 there as well. That's helping boost the bank no end. So yet again, we'll go back to Vape. Favourite on an undulating course. Looking at the last time out details. If Vape last ran at Limerick, last run at Windsor. If you last run at Limerick, and he's running as a favourite on an undulating course this time, back him. Really good returns. Highly likely, vast majority of these will be running in Ireland. And it'll be a similar story for Nace as well. You know where to look now at Nace. £100 into 1,149 to £10 back. So even better than Limerick. Longest winning sequence of 18 again opens the door up to lay 1 to 4 staking plan, doesn't it? Fixed liability, which is my preferred option because your risk is controlled. £100 into 736, pretty good stuff. Trainer Richard Fahey. He seems to get a tune out of his favourites on undulating courses, and as I say, it's a rarity to get the backers profiting. But let's have a look at Richard Fahey. Again, the story is in the profit graph, isn't it? From this point here, backing Richard Fahey horses has been very profitable. Don't forget, add that minus 230 onto this 575 and you'll see why I'm impressed with Richard Fahey favourites on undulating courses. Maybe it's his... are the horses used to undulating courses? Is it something that he specifically targets? Is he a trainer who lives near an undulating course? Because he's certainly getting a tune out of them, isn't he? Even continuing on in 2024. Not many qualifiers, but you still got a nice profit. Quite simple to find. T for trainer. Richard Fahey on a favourite on an undulating course. Another one for the backer on undulating courses. Silvestre de Souza went on a favourite, but there's a slight just dip in these latter two. I don't think he had any runners in 2023, but not too happy with this recent dip. I do prefer my graphs to be consistently bottom left to top right. But a good profit over time for the backer, and it's a rare thing to see, so well worth following on for you. But it looks as if he didn't have a 2023 in these details here. Very few selections on undulating courses, but he seems to come in with a backer's profit. 2024, 731 to 726, so pretty much break even so far 2024. But if you can get back to this time here, we can back Silvestre de Souza horses on favourites, and again J for the jockey, or you could just do Control and F, SUOUSA, a very familiar name or a very unique name, who would pop up using Control and F. And we'll end with the sire country Japan. Only 123 selections over time, 70% strike rate, longest winning sequence of 7, but a nice simple profit to a £10 backer stake or whatever you want, and to a fixed liability, and a bit of a dip there, so you'll be focusing more on the consistency of this. Very simple to find. There won't be many qualifiers. Sire country Japan. Again, we're heading back to vape, and we're looking at the sire. The sire country will be Ireland in this case. If that says JPN, you're up and running. So before I go, as ever, I want to show you the difference between laying to a backer stake of £10 and to a £10 fixed liability. And I'll also show you where to find information about the lay 1 to 4 staking plan. So we're going to go to horse racing, or we can go to any of these markets actually. This is laying to a £10 backer stake. You've already got that here, as you can see. Backer stake, £10. That's going to be the amount you will be looking to win. Because of that, your liability will change. For example, if you're laying at 7s to win the same amount, your liability is all the way up to £50 now. Compare that to laying to a fixed liability of a tenner. Your profit will be lower, but not so with odds on favourites. But your maximum loss will always be what you've set it out to be. That will be particularly effective on that horse at odds of 7s or 6.6. You've immediately solved your liability issue, but your profit has taken a big hit. Compare that to the backer stake, and you'll see £50, £56 liability there. So that's an important consideration. Lay 1 to 4 staking plan, quite simple. Lay 1 to 4 staking plan. Ask my showbiz pal, Mr. Google, and have a look at some of these. I use the staking machine for all of my analysis. You've got a staking plan spreadsheet you can get from Tipping Sports here. I have downloaded it. It doesn't contain any viruses, at least when I did it myself. Lay 1 to 4 worksheet. Please don't ask me any questions about this. I'm not affiliated to the website, but do try this out for yourself. It'll give you an idea of what's involved with the lay 1 to 4 staking plan. And as you know now, mild loss retrieval is very, very effective, particularly when you have long winning sequences as a layer. So I hope this video finds you well. I know it's a bit long, but I wanted to make sure everything's covered and you could see the price graphs so you can decide for yourself. So don't forget undulating courses. And we'll be looking at all of these other categories in future videos. Thanks very much.